Got new boxes in the mail today, so let's see what's in them. Would appear to be my new pump. Came from saltwateraquarium.com. That's a pretty good prices, which is why I bought the stuff I bought from them, which includes the contents of this box and the contents of the box that was under it. Power supply, I think. It's the controller box. There's the pump itself. Heads, water level sensor, cords, brackets, cages, stuff like that. So it says here on the box that this is Apex ready, which is a good thing because I just bought an Apex. So that's going to be here at the end of the week. Or maybe not the end of the week, but it'll probably be at the beginning of next week before I get that. And then the other thing I got from them was an Algae Barn starter kit. Why to get it from Saltwater Aquarium and not Algae Barn themselves? Because it was cheaper. It was almost 50 bucks cheaper. It was on sale. So I guess they're going to send multiple boxes, and this is just the first. We'll find out. That is some temperature saving insulating bubble wrap. That's pretty cool. Filter bricks. They must know I have a thing for Swedish fish. That is awesome. Oh look, more filter bricks. One fancy Algae Barn sticker. And my starter bacteria culture, concentrated live nitrifying bacteria. So yeah, so that's gonna be my startup, and then I think in a week they send me another package with some Kato and some pods. Okay, so it's time to attempt to assemble this pump. Move it over here to my workspace. By the tank, I did put a power head in there. I did end up scouring that section there, but that's no too bad. Got more salt water on the way. So I should be able to top off and actually run the pump maybe as early as tomorrow morning. I'll just cut this light off here. That's better. Anyway, gather the rest of the pump stuff. Quick start guide. Alright, so the reason I got a great deal on this pump is that it was an open box item. Which pretty much means there's chances stuff's missing. It doesn't appear so. I mean, like, comment if you know, but pretty sure everything's here. With the exception of one thing. An owner's manual. And, you know, assembly guide. So I might have to do some research as to what goes where. Alright, so I've run into what I keep running into with aquarium supplies, and that is that they just assume that you know how to use whatever product it is they've sold you. Like if you're buying it from us, you know exactly how to build this thing and what it's supposed to look like when you're done. Well, apparently I'm not that guy. But I was looking at pictures, so I do think I can figure it out from there. Think I need this thing here, which has a gasket, a couple O-rings. Looks like I need to totally build that myself. Probably not going to need either of those. This is some kind of mounting bracketry, probably for the float valve, which must be the shutoff. And you got a separate power pack here. So that'll go to the controller unit likely. And then that'll be the plug to the wall right there. Then the pump hooks up with this 3-prong connector. And this is what the control unit looks like. Additional ports for running other stuff, which is pretty cool, but I'm probably going to end up running this with the Apex that I bought, which hopefully should be here at the end of the week. So I'm going to build this, and I'm going to time lapse it with the other camera because for some reason this one doesn't know how to time lapse. We'll just film it this way. This cage is kind of sort of threaded. It's going to thread on here. This is going to be the inlet. This will be the outlet. So these are two separate pieces. The bumps on the side correspond to notches in the outside. So it can really only go in one way, this way. Once it's snapped on, screw it on here. There we go. Let's see. Get the O-rings off. There'll definitely be, whoop. Obviously the gasket goes here. So perhaps the two O-rings are for the optional pieces. In fact, that's exactly what it is. Like I said, I'm not going to use that right now. We'll build it anyway. Just so it's ready to go in case I ever do need it. Take this out. And so this is going to end up being where we put the pump. Move the light so you can see it. I still haven't figured out what this float valve is for. Connects to this hose. And that's some kind of diaphragm valve, I think, is what I figured that out to be. But yeah, so let's get this pump set up. Alright, I got my pump here. And there's a fitting for the return hose. Here's the return hose. And yeah, and that's supposed to go in. It should go over, but there's no way that that hose is going to fit over that pipe. So Lowe's closes at 10, so you're not going to want to watch this. We've made it to Lowe's. Still got a half hour to spare. Alright, so I'm back from Lowe's. Trying to find a way to make this work. And I'm not sure I did. Here's what I picked up. It's 5/8 inch fitting, 1/2 inch thread. Gonna screw into that. That's going to fit into this coupler, sealed with aquarium silicone, onto this adapter, and then the whole thing going to screw onto the pump. What I figured out was that the fitting that was in there comes out. So maybe I can simply change this fitting to a bigger one and just return all this stuff back to Lowe's tomorrow or something. I don't know. I got to do some research and figure out a solution. Alright, so here's what I've been able to figure out. So this set up here, all glued together with aquarium safe silicone and a PVC nipple on the end, would work. However, this is brass. I didn't have time to research this while I was there, and they were closing, so I just had to grab something and go. So I know they don't have that fitting there. So I'm going to have to return that. Could still glue this together, but this is not the right kind of silicone. So that's got to go back too. Additionally, what I figured out is this thing, that is exactly what it's for. It's for gluing stuff into it. So if I get the right diameter fit in there, which apparently that's too big, but I think it's like 1 inch. This is 1 1/4 inch. I think that's the outside. We can go back tomorrow, find the right setup, or maybe just find the right nipple. But in the meantime, I'm going to set the pump in there and do some measuring. Preferably with this in there. So then we could see what kind of tubing I'd have to buy to make this work. Alright, so I'm just mock hooking this up. And so I've got my float sensor plug here. And I was trying to figure out what plug to hook it in. So this thing says it's number 4 here. Connection for a float switch. So there it is on the side all by itself. I have 3 ports on this. Did I get an updated like special controller? Or maybe one of these goes to the apex? I don't know. I have to figure that out. Okay. So the pump is in there. And I guess we figured out that this is just basically a poor man's auto top off. Hook this to the little, didn't realize this was a little nipple on here. So you hook that on there, and whenever the float drops, it'll shut the, or it'll add fresh reverse osmosis water into the system. Now this float valve here is going to be the pump shut off. So if the water comes above here, it'll shut the pump off from the controller that it's hooked up to over here. And eventually once the apex gets here, it's going to be mounted up here on the wall somewhere, maybe on the door even, who knows. In the meantime, I drew up this sketch here. And it's basically my notes for when I go back and try and figure out what size pipe I need and everything. Don't know my exact distances here. But I do know I'm going to want an elbow there, an elbow there. From center line to center line, it's going to be 3.5 inches. I want a T-fitting with the gate valve here, because I do have a reactor coming. I don't know if I'm going to end up using it, but I like having the option there to do whatever I want with that port. And I'll need the barb fitting there. And so I know overall I have about 16 inches from the inside lip of this, which is on the pump already, this inside lip here, to the bottom of that pipe there. So I can do the math. With what I got here, which there's what, about 1.5 inches of space between the bottom of the barb and the end of the barb. Let's just see what that looks like here. Not take my word for it. Let's measure it twice and cut once, right? All right, as soon as I find a fitting, we'll go ahead and measure it. All right, we got the fitting here. Now I need the measuring tape. So I should say it's like close to 1.25 inches. If you measure the barb overall, it's 1.5 inches. Okay. So 1.5 inches from the end of the barb to the seat of the barb. Which I know this is going to sit a little lower than that because of that O-ring. But I digress. So 1.5 inches plus 1.5 inches. And I'm going to have about an inch of space in between there, so that'll be about 3.5 inches. So yep, that's my plan. So I'll go to Home Depot or Lowe's tomorrow and get all the pipes I need and cut them all up. Alright, so that's it for this episode. So be sure to subscribe and come back for the next episode, which I'm already working on, which we're gonna finish up the plumbing, and then we're gonna get the apex and we're gonna start working on the apex. So see you then.